What's going on, y'all? It's the Caveman back at it again with another video. Officially, Bills offseason is here. It sucks. It sucks, to say the least. We are officially with the rest of the NFL teams. You know, we're sitting here and just we have nothing to do except for wait for next season and watch the Super Bowl that none of us care about. Now we have to wait for next season. We have a bright future ahead of us, and we really can't dwell on the past. We can only build on what we learned and build on and get better in the future. And with McDermott and Brandon Beane, you know we're going to get better. You know we're going to improve in the offseason. You know they know what they're doing, so we have every little bit of trust to put in them to do what is right for the Buffalo Bills organization and for the team itself. So, I don't even have to worry about the offseason. I know they're going to make the right moves. And I will be, making videos about how I feel like they should go about the offseason. I'm going to throw my opinion, my 2 cents in here and there once the weeks go on into the offseason. But there are a lot of other things in the NFL right now that are going on that, have not pertained to the playoffs because I've been so, engaged with the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, obviously, as I should be, that I haven't really gotten to touch on it, throw my opinion in about, all the other rumors that have been going around, such as Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers now, and Matthew Stafford as well. All these guys are, rumored to potentially be on the move, so I want to throw my opinion on all these guys' situations. So since Matthew Stafford is the guy that we know for a fact will not be at Detroit next year, he will be getting a new team, a change of scenery in the 2021 season. I figured I would start with him first. I have a short list of 4 teams that I believe that are not only realistic, but that are good situations for not only Matthew Stafford and the organization itself. And I ranked them 1 to 4, and 1 is the best possible situation I think Matthew Stafford could end up at, and 4 isn't necessarily bad either. It's still a very good situation, in my opinion, for Matthew Stafford, but out of the 4, it's, not the best. But without further ado, let's just hop right into the list. So the first of the 4 teams that I have that Matthew Stafford could end up at that will be a realistic destination for him is the Washington football team. Now, I feel like they definitely, obviously, could use a quarterback upgrade. Alex Smith is serviceable, but he just sometimes struggles to really move the ball, and I think he's not really holding them back, but he's definitely not pushing them forward either. I think that he's just one of those quarterbacks that will keep your offense stagnant, will keep them, not from going down, but not from going up either. They're just kind of at a stalemate right now, and they need somebody to really push them over that hump. And I think Matthew Stafford could absolutely be that guy. I think Matthew Stafford would absolutely love to play for Ron Rivera. Stafford would be going into a very good situation with weapons around him. Logan Thomas has proven to be a very solid option. Terry McLaurin is, in my opinion, one of the best wide receivers in the league already. He just came out of his rookie year. They have Antonio Gibson as well, who has shown he could really run the rock very, very effectively. So they have a couple weapons over there that I think Matthew Stafford could really toy with. You cannot forget that dominant defense that they have, the dominant defensive line, that pass rush that the Washington football team has. I think that would be very good to be paired with, a very good Washington football team offense. So I think if Matthew Stafford ended up there, it would be very good for that team. It would be very good for Matthew Stafford. I think he would enjoy his time there. I think we'd absolutely see improvement in his game. Although I understand the Washington football team only made the playoffs because the rest of their division was absolute dog shit, they still made the playoffs, and they still were a pretty damn good team. They were not an easy win by any means at any point of the season. I think they really are just that small step away from getting a quarterback to being a very, very solid and very, very disruptive football team throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs as well. If they were to make it again, I think they would absolutely, mangle the rest of the division if they got Matthew Stafford. I don't think the Cowboys would stand a chance. I don't think the Giants would stand a chance. The Eagles, of course. I don't know what the hell is going on over there with Philadelphia, but they wouldn't stand a chance either. I think with a guy like Matthew Stafford, the Washington football team becomes a 10-win team easy. So the third team that I could see Matthew Stafford going to that is, beneficial to him and beneficial to the organization, that would be a very good fit for Matthew Stafford, is the New England Patriots. I don't want this. I'm a Bills fan. Stay the hell out of the AFC East. I don't want you coming here. Anybody that wasn't in the AFC East, stay out. I'm not afraid of anybody making any other team in the AFC East better. I would just prefer to stay the way it was because I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Bills being on top. I don't need anybody else contending. That's not fun. But, anyway, that opinion doesn't matter. Matthew Stafford on the New England Patriots, in my opinion, is a very realistic destination. It's something that would absolutely help the New England Patriots. They had 8 opt-outs this season, I think, a very large amount of opt-outs this season for the coronavirus. They're going to be getting all those guys back. I'm not sure what the status on Stephon Gilmore will be next year, but either way, they're going to have a much better roster next year. And adding a guy like Matthew Stafford over Cameron Newton, who really had a noodle arm. The dude literally had a soggy, wet noodle for his arm, and he could not throw the ball for his life. So if you plug in a guy like Matthew Stafford, regardless of the lack of weapons, I think, Bill Belichick and the management would absolutely go out and get him a weapon from free agency or a trader. However they may get a weapon for Matthew Stafford, they would absolutely go out and get one for him. So, the lack of weapons wouldn't be an issue to me because they would absolutely go and get one. Also had a solid run game, so if they're able to translate that run game with Matthew Stafford at the helm, I think that would be a very dangerous offense, in my opinion. If Matthew Stafford gets back there with the solid number 1 weapon, they get Julian Edelman back, as long as he doesn't retire. I don't think he's going to retire, but, they will be a solid offense. And with the run game like that, they could be a little scary. And their defense, if they are able to return their defense back to form that it was in 2019, then that team could very easily become contenders once again. Now, the second best and most realistic fit for Matthew Stafford, I believe, is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. It seems like every quarterback that becomes a potential, free agent or quarterback that could be potentially on the move from their former team, it always seems like the 49ers become a destination at this point. Like, nobody wants Jimmy G there anymore. Jimmy G, I feel like, is on the way out and will be on the way out sooner than later. So I think a guy like Matthew Stafford absolutely will be able to plug his way into San Francisco and really benefit in that sort of offense. I think he would, for once, maybe like to be on a run-first offense. He doesn't always have to be dropping back and getting hammered when he's behind the Detroit offensive line. The weapons that the 49ers have would absolutely benefit to Matthew Stafford's arm as well. I mean, obviously, any type of offense would benefit to an arm like Matthew Stafford's, but I mean, a guy like Brandon Ayuk, who really showed he could ball out. Deebo Samuel's a very good receiver. Of course, the one and only George Kittle. Then they have the fantastic run game that the 49ers have. And their biggest downfall this year for that team was all the injuries. Obviously, they had a bunch on the offensive side of the ball, but they had even more on the defensive side of the ball. Like, their defense was just a shell of their former selves because of all the injuries they had. And I think next year, once they return all those guys and they're all back better and healthy, that team will be able to be a lot better, especially if they have a guy like Matthew Stafford at the helm. Now, I understand that Robert Saleh is indeed out. He went to the Jets. He's now in the AFC East, of course, but that's a bad thing, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to affect the defense once they're all healthy all that much. I think they're going to be able to return to somewhat of their former selves that they were in that Super Bowl a couple years ago. So I think a guy like Matthew Stafford absolutely makes the 49ers a very good playoff team. I think he will absolutely make them a playoff contender. I don't know about a Super Bowl contender per se, but they definitely will become a tough team to beat in the regular season. They won't be like they were this year, like just absolutely horrible. I didn't say it about the Patriots either, but I think he absolutely makes the Patriots play. I think Matthew Stafford, to any of the teams I'm going to list today in this video, are absolute playoff contenders if he's on the team. He just elevates all of these offenses tenfold to what they previously were, and I think he absolutely helps the 49ers in a whole lot of different areas. So for that reason, I think the 49ers are the second best fit for Matthew Stafford. So the last team and the first team on this list that I feel like Matthew Stafford will get the most out of by joining their team would be the Indianapolis Colts. I think this is the best fit by a country mile. It seems like the most realistic. I think if there's some sort of Vegas bet, money line betting favorites for Matthew Stafford ending up on the Colts, I think the Colts would absolutely be the favorites. It seems like that is the most popular destination for him at the very moment. Nobody knows if that's where he's going to go, but we'll see. Me personally, I've sort of developed a little bit of a Colts fandom over these past couple of months, and I would love to see Matthew Stafford go to the Colts. They just had a very solid season with Phillip Rivers back there, and Matthew Stafford, I think, in my opinion, at this point in both of their careers, Matthew Stafford is obviously the better quarterback. I think Phillip Rivers was pretty good. He was actually very good this season, but I think Matthew Stafford just evolves that offense. He absolutely makes that offense crazy. Like, their offensive line is one of the best in football, the Indianapolis Colts, and I think Matthew Stafford would benefit from not getting hit every other play tremendously. This is another offense that really shown they can run the ball down your throat. Jonathan Taylor balled out this season. Jonathan Taylor had a monstrous season, and Matthew Stafford, I think, once again, like I said about the 49ers, would not mind being on a team that was a little more run heavy than pass heavy. Ironically enough, I think the weapons on the Colts, out of all four of these options, maybe not for against the Patriots at this very moment, but I think between the Patriots and the Colts, I think the Colts probably have just slightly better options than the Patriots at the wide receiver position or at the receiving position at all. I think the run game for the Colts outweighs the offense of the Patriots by a mile. But anyway, I think the receiving options for the Colts are just slightly better. Michael Pittman showed he could really ball out. He's a decent receiver, but I think maybe the Colts will go out and get a different guy. But at the end of the day, I don't think Matthew Stafford would even need that. If Phillip Rivers can hit these targets, I think Matthew Stafford could easily. Of course, the defense speaks for the Colts themselves. I mean, DeForest Buckner is just an absolute force back there. Darius Leonard. I mean, that defense speaks for itself. They are a very good defense. I think Matthew Stafford, absolutely. I say this with a strong belief. I think Pat McAfee would agree with me. Matthew Stafford makes the Indianapolis Colts a Super Bowl contender, and I don't think that's a joke. The Bills barely squeaked past them this season. Like, I was horrified to play the Colts this season. I was absolutely horrified. I think Matthew Stafford makes this team extremely dangerous. Teams in the AFC in general are becoming dangerous. Like, the AFC is becoming the powerhouse conference very quickly, and if Matthew Stafford ends up on the Colts, that could be very dangerous. So not only for my tiny bit of Colts fandom would I like to see Matthew Stafford go there, but I like Matthew Stafford. I really think he's been held back his entire career. I mean, I think the Lions are the worst franchise in all of professional sports, so I think he's been held back over there as well. I want to see the guy be successful on the Colts. I feel like is absolutely the best place for that to happen. But who knows? Matthew Stafford, who knows where he's going to end up? Maybe some team, maybe the Bears come out of left field and offer 4 first-round picks, or who knows? Maybe some team comes out of left field. Maybe the Texans come out of nowhere and they just offer 16 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford, and they have no choice but to accept it. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't go to any of these 4 teams. But I feel like these 4 teams are not only the most realistic, but they are also the best fit for him. I don't think going to the Houston Texans benefits Matthew Stafford himself in the slightest. I don't think it even benefits the team. Like, going from Deshaun Watson to Matthew Stafford is a slight drop-off. I'm not sure why you would even bother doing that. So I guess we'll see. Time will tell what will happen. I'm interested to see what will happen. I want to know your thoughts on the video. I want to know where you think Matthew Stafford will end up. If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Hit the bell to know when I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter, go right ahead and do that as well. And I'll see y'all later in the next one. Peace.